Hi, I'm Baron Vaughn. That's
Oh,
Open Mike Eagle.
that is me, in fact.
That that's what I've heard about you. A lot of people
Yeah.
say, you know who that guy is? He's Open Mike Eagle.
I'm glad to get that part right.
What are the parts that they usually get wrong?
Just about everything else.
Mm. Well, you know what I'm interested to know what to know what? You know
To know
what?
what? To know
You know
what?
what I'm interested to know what?
What are you interested to know what about what? What?
The fact that I tripped on my words is a perfect segue into people like yourself who know how to rap and
Rap?
know, yes, and know how to handle language because
Hmm.
there was a little bit of hip hop news that sort of dropped last night. J. Cole
Oh
released.
my gosh. Are we about to talk about that, Baron?
Yes, I know you said you didn't really want to talk about it,
Yeah.
but I saw your tweet and I was like, well, now I got to talk to Mike about it.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of tweets now. The last one kind of gives a sense of where I'm at right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where are you at right now? What was the
Well,
first tweet that you
how
wrote?
about this? Before that, why don't you set the scene for the people on what incidences occurred, and then I'll tell you what my responses have been.
Okay, so J. Cole dropped an album. Was that a full
I
album last
believe it
night?
was just a song.
Just a song, one song, Snow on the Bluff, I believe is what it was called. And there were some lyrics that a lot of people thought had to do with another very brilliant rapper, No Name.
Uh huh.
Uh, and people have been talking about it, on
Yeah.
the twits.
Many
And
people.
many people, and I saw that you were talking about it, so I was really curious as to what your take as a person who's in that profession, what your take is.
Well, and me being in the profession is kind of why it's a difficult thing for me to talk about.
Mm.
One of the things that we speak about on this program, or we're starting to, is that I can lean quite cynical at times, and when it comes to my profession,
No, get out of here.
yeah, man. When it comes to my profession, that's probably the area of life where I am the most cynical. So
Mm.
I have to preface any of these views with the fact that my cynicism informs them all, especially now.
Okay.
Um,
Cynicism informs them all. I like it.
so my first tweet was
Hmm.
just in complete disbelief that people were saying that J. Cole had sent bars at No Name in the
Hmm.
song, because to me, that seemed just so absurdly unintelligent.
Why is that?
Well, it's for a lot of reasons. One is No Name is really dope. Like she's really
She
dope.
is.
Like
She's
she's
very good.
fire, and like she's got the kind of style that you might think, you might call it unassuming,
Mm.
but she'll
That's part of her
she'll
skill set, though. Like she catches you off guard with the lyricism.
exactly. But then the things that she says are quite pointed, and it's like, she could easily cause somebody going at her to trip over themselves and be made to look very, very foolish. So that's one level. Um, on another level, it's the moment that we're in
Hmm.
politically, where
Hmm.
some of the things that he seemed to be aiming at her were about like policing her tone and how she comes across about issues. Which seems also not smart in this sort of environment to critique her in such a fashion. Um, just seems that it would that he would know that whatever he's actually trying to say is going to possibly be drowned out by just the audacity of him approaching her in that way.
Mm.
And then, see, the third level is where I get real cynical.
Ooh, that's my favorite level.
Oh
We're in the
gosh.
we're in the third level of Mike's Inferno.
Okay,
This
so
is
here
the
we
one that's
go.
the cynicism.
Now I'm talking to the world now, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be letting y'all in on the kind of dark thoughts I have when I sit alone and think about my
You
place in the
better
world.
listen, world.
Yeah. So J. Cole
Yeah.
is in a very unique position in terms of rap music.
Okay.
He is positioned as kind of the alternative in terms of the highest selling rappers. Like you have the mainstream rap image, and
Hmm.
you have J. Cole positioned as like the safe, thoughtful alternative, right?
Alt rap image.
Yeah, like and it's supposed to be it's positioned contrary to like the dangerous hood street image that a lot of other mainstream rappers portray.
Okay. Okay.
From my vantage point, that is due to him being surrounded by some very, very smart people
Okay.
who have done things and made moves to make sure that he is positioned that way. Um, you know, like I said, in contrast to the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
part of what goes with that
Okay.
is making sure that the people who pay attention to him aren't aware of other very intelligent and thoughtful rappers. Like that's part of how you maintain that position is
Hmm.
that you don't
Interesting.
shine a light on things that are done in any way similarly. And so
Mm.
to me, that's the other unintelligent part of this is like for him to I think thus far to protect that position, he has been very intentional on not shining lights on things on rappers coming up that he isn't tied into business wise.
Mm.
So somebody around him had to know that him directing this sort of energy at her was going to do nothing except blow her up.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
and so then my cynic brain gets extra active and wonders if this is all some weird theater. And then they end up going on tour together next year, which is great,
Which
which is
actually is not
great.
a bad idea at all. No.
I as a cynic,
Yes.
I don't like that sort of gamesmanship if that is what's at play.
Okay. So J. Cole and No Name hitting the road, brought to you by Lupe Fiasco.
Something.
Um, That's fascinating. That's very fascinating. Yeah, I saw somebody say that they could have just talked about this in DMs and
And
left the rest of it out,
right, and I
left all
guess
of us out of it.
who's to say they didn't is as I guess what the
Mm.
cynic in me would say.
Where's that cynic come from, Mike?
From it's from my experiences in the industry, and a lot of it is kind of colored, if I'm to be very honest, by the fact that I feel as if I represent a sort of rapper in that same space that that doesn't receive attention in the same way,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and that could be for myriad of reasons. But part of the cynic in me wants to frame some of that reasoning as being systemic.